holy lands of the Middle East have run with blood. Here, the scars of battle fought between three of the great religions of the world are etched into the earth. But the deepest wound was made by a war between Christian and Muslim, begun at the close of the 11th century and fought for 200 years. At stake, a tiny strip of land just a few hundred miles long, but with the greatest prize, Jerusalem.
Praise another, I swear to God that to take this city will be the end of you.
Your city is full of women and children. If my army will die, so will your city. And all your knights
His Majesty's government view with favour the establishment in Palestine of a national home for the Jewish people. And he said that this should be with the understanding that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of the existing non-Jewish communities in Palestine. Two British promises about the same piece of land, self-determination for the Arabs and a homeland for the Jews. Both promises could not be kept, and it was the Balfour Declaration that was written into the treaties that ended the First World War. But treaties are just pieces of paper. Facts on the ground are a different thing. The British occupied Palestine in 1917, and after 1920 still ran Palestine under a mandate from the League of Nations. Neither the indigenous Arabs or Jews, who had lived in Palestine side by side for centuries, were granted any political rights. But the mandate did insist that the British must safeguard the interests of the Jewish settlers by placing the country under such political, administrative and economic conditions as will secure the establishment of a Jewish national home. Under British rule, Zionist immigration to Palestine rose to unprecedented levels. In 1930, just 4,000 Jewish settlers arrived, but by 1933 that figure had climbed to 30,000 Jewish settlers. And in the peak year of 1935, 60,000 Zionist settlers arrived in Palestine. Palestinian land was being brought up by settlers, often from absentee landlords. Society in Palestine was being thrown into the air in a way that had never happened in generations of Ottoman rule. Palestinians resisted. In 1921, in 1922, in 1929, and most of all, after a general strike in 1936, the British were unable to control the revolt. And neither could the British control the Zionists. Led by future Israeli leaders David Ben-Gurion, Yitzhak Shamir and Menachem Begin, they organised into militia and terrorist gangs like the Haganah, the Irgun and the Stern Gang. The Zionists aimed to drive the British out and to take control of Palestine. The First World War gave the Zionist project its start, and the Second World War gave the project its chance of victory. Britain was among the victors of the Second World War, but in 1945, Britain was an exhausted country, no longer able to shoulder the demands of empire. The Labour Party was elected by a landslide in the 1945 election, and it reflected the massive popular reaction against war and empire. Britain began the long retreat from empire, from India, Burma and Palestine were the first to see the British depart. Palestine was in any case ungovernable for the British by this time, a fact forcefully brought home to the Mandate government when the Zionist Irgun blew up its headquarters at the King David Hotel in Jerusalem in July 1946. Less than 2 years later, the British were out and the newly formed United Nations were left in charge of Palestine.